Welcome to 24/7 Flat Earth Discord channel. Be sure to go to VC Chi Check and 1 to get your VC verification tags to get involved in the conversation about our Earth. Be sure to bring your verifiable Earth curvature evidence, though.
Enemy spotted.
Ray Notes Part 3.
Well, Ray's here.
VC verified. Pac-Man?
I'm listening to you guys.
Ray's
Oh,
here.
Ray down at the bottom.
Ray's
down
a
at
cool,
the bottom.
Ray's a cool dude because he reads the King James Bible, but he hasn't put 2 and 2 together yet. But Ray's cool.
Well, I read from the King James myself. That's my choice. I could read Greek. I'd prefer to do that.
Yeah, I haven't learned Greek yet, but yeah, I'm just listening. I've got a little side project going on, trying to teach myself something new in the video editor here.
That's
But I'm
cool.
listening to you guys. Yeah,
What video editor are you using?
DaVinci Resolve. So I've got a little. Oh, it's a project you guys will like quite a bit. Let me see. I'll do a little screenshot of it so you'll see what I'm working on, and you might actually laugh. But
Well, if it shows this 8-inch per mile square drop over distance, I'll appreciate it because I've been looking for it for about 20 months now. And I can't find it.
but it's pretty complicated because I haven't never done any 3D in it, so I had to teach myself how to do 3D after work today. Here's a little screenshot in the chat.
Oh, cool, man. Cool.
So I don't know if you guys have seen that time lapse flight. The guy flies from. He's a long haul 777 pilot. He flies from Zurich to Sao Paulo, Brazil. Like a 12-hour flight, but he films like 6 hours of it. So, it obviously came up in the flat Earth. So this is quite an endeavor, but I'm going to try to show that flight over a sphere with the Milky Way in the background mapped to the Milky Way in the video.
Yeah. You know what they did with that Milky Way galaxy photo is somebody went in their backyard, put their you can't see that. They put their telescope on 20-minute exposure, 20-minute exposure, and they waited 20 minutes, and there was a certain part of the sky above us that moves a little bit more, has a few more, lights in the sky than other parts. So when that 20-minute exposure got over, they looked at it and went, look at all that cluster right there. That must be the Milky Way galaxy. The problem is that we're in the Milky Way galaxy in your fairy tale globe, fairy tale. And so you can't take a picture of the Milky Way if you're you're supposed to be in the Milky Way. But what they did, Ray, was nobody can take that picture unless they expose it for 20 minutes. They actually kept the shutter open for 20 minutes, and that particular part of the sky had more lights in it, God's firmament, obviously, and it had more, so you get more light. That's all they did. That is not a picture of anything except for the fact they had a 20-minute exposure, left the shutter open for 20 minutes, and they got that photo when it was done. Cool story, bro.
Oh, it is a cool story. Yeah, I'm a little bit familiar with astrophotography. I do photography. I've been doing photography as basically a side gig professionally for many years. I have an unbelievable amount of gear that I probably shouldn't have. Haven't done a ton of astrophotography. I've done a little bit, but in this case, it doesn't really matter. It's the night sky that the pilot filmed from his plane, and all I'm doing is superimposing it directly over the larger picture, just so that you can see the wider field of view, if you will. He's using a Nikon, I forget which Nikon he was using. It was it was a Sony A7 with a 35 millimeter lens. So it's got a pretty good wide field of view. 35 millimeter on a full frame sensor is pretty wide angle, I guess you would say. but the video itself is absolutely amazing. I think it's called Beyond the Clouds or something like that. It's pretty amazing. So just watching the video, it's kind of mesmerizing. Him flying, because he flies over the Mediterranean Sea, flies over North Africa, and I think he gets about 40 or 50 minutes out over the Atlantic Ocean before he stops filming. He films about half of it. That flight, you can look up that flight. It's a Swiss Air flight SWR 72. So it's a common flight that goes between Zurich and Sao Paulo, Brazil. But it's a 12-hour flight, and they usually fly it at night. It's a red eye. But anyway, he filmed that, and all I'm doing is just, because if you watch the video, like, he moves all over the place, obviously, because he's flying an airplane. All I'm doing is stabilizing that footage and locking that movement around basically that area of sky that he's seeing. I'm just locking it into the wider field of view is all. And well, it's a little more complicated than that, but anyway, it's.
Hey, Ray. Ray. Sometime you're going to look at the moon and see that between the first quarter and the third quarter doesn't, line of sight towards the sun. You'll look at that sometime. The new moon is tomorrow, so you'll start going to the waxing crescent, the next night. And so here's my next thing for you to look up, if you don't mind. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of videos, not photos, videos of the 24-hour sun in the Arctic region, where you get 66.6, above, and you start seeing 24-hour suns in the Arctic region. But there are 5 in the Antarctic region, and 2 of them we know. One of them just repeats the clouds, and the other one repeats the sunbursts in the supposedly 24-hour. So there's hundreds, if not thousands, in the Arctic region, but there are 5. And all 5 have something wrong with them. If you lived on a spinning space ball in the vacuum of outer space in an ever-expanding universe, you would have the same number of 24-hour, videos, especially with 54 countries of the UN Antarctic Treaty down there. They want to be telling the world that they live on a spinning space ball in the vacuum of outer space in an ever-expanding universe. But there's 5, and those 5 are very questionable, where they have hundreds, if not thousands, of them in the northern part. And the southern part in Antarctica, the record low temperature is 135 degrees below zero. In the north, it's 89 degrees below zero. That's 46 degrees difference. So why is it so much warmer and so many more videos in the Arctic region than the Antarctic region, when we live on a ball and they should be basically the same? So that's the second thing I want you to look at. I want you to explore why there's such a discrepancy in those 2 things, as well as looking at the moon. Can you do that for me?
Yeah, I mean, looking at this stuff all the time. I mean, I don't know how long this debate's been going on between me and a friend. I have a friend that we debate all the time. So we've been at this for a couple of years. So most of the things that you're telling me, I'm vaguely familiar with, because like he and I, we discuss them. So
does the lack of the Antarctic sun, 24-hour sun, bother you when we have 100, if not thousands, of videos in the north?
Yeah, you're saying that. I guess I'll have to take your words that it's true. It doesn't make any sense the way you're describing it.
Well, it doesn't make any sense because you don't live on a spinning space ball in the vacuum of outer space in an ever-expanding universe, Ray, but that's okay. You have possibilities. I have faith in you. I have faith in God to convict you and convince you. But anyway, and then you get into the discrepancy between 135 degrees below zero and 89 degrees below zero for record temperatures. That's 46 degrees. That shouldn't happen if both get the same amount of sunlight, because you live on a spinning space ball in the vacuum of outer space in an ever-expanding universe. I'm never going to get tired of saying that. And so then obviously you're going to look at the moon, because you said you would, especially between the first and third quarters. And see that between the first and third quarter line of sight, the sun is not directly illuminating the moon. Therefore, the moon is as it is in Genesis 1:14-18, which you say you read the King James Version. It says that in Genesis 1:14-18 that God placed 2 great lights in the sky, not one to light the other, but 2 great lights in the sky, and that it's done for days, seasons, years, and for signs. And so I know you're going to sit down and read your Bible differently now that you know that God created the moon and the sun, put them local in a sidereal rotation above us, and this spinning space ball in the vacuum of outer space and ever expanding universe is satanic. And I know you'll realize that in time because you read the King James Bible and you're a really smart guy.
Yeah, I'm definitely doing my homework. Let me just put it that way. I've been doing
Yes,
my homework.
so I see great things ahead for you. Obviously your cog dis is really working on you right now. I can tell it's working on you. So I appreciate that. And your indoctrination is a tough thing to get over because I don't know how old you are, but that's why they get you young, that you can't defend yourself. So
Yeah, just chipping it out. It's going to be easier.
Timbo, down under, Timbo, my man's
going?
here, my man,
I'll text you your address, my address, your address.
my man.
You let me know what time.
Who you talking to?
Oh, sorry, mate. I turned on my mic to say something, and then I started talking to someone. So
I
does
see
he
how
have an
you are.
answer for the temperature discrepancy?
No, he's working on it, Timbo. Hey, Timbo, I started praying for all the Globers on the internet a couple nights ago or last night. So
Oh, nice.
maybe God will hear my prayers because
Maybe.
I've been praying for my friends on the internet like you, but I just started praying for Globers last night.
Thank you, Jim. God bless you.
Hey, we are in the same Bible study on Saturday nights now. You know that? I'm going to join this Saturday night. I think it's Sunday for
Oh,
you.
with AJ.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
sweet. I'll
seven.
be there
It's seven.
Sunday.
It's 7:30 Saturday night for me. 10:30 a.m. for you
Yeah,
on Sunday.
that's right.
That's right. And so at 7 o'clock on Friday night, I get together with the group that Chris Sparks, Halo of Sorcery, is involved
Yeah,
in. And so
yeah.
so so two of my three Bible studies are people from Australia. What do you think about that?
Australians.
What do you think about that, man? You guys are really, really spiritual, biblical, down under on the ball.
uh, I, I wouldn't say that really. A very secular kind of nation.
Yeah, 2 out of 3
And
Bible
we do
studies.
have it's very multicultural, so we
Yeah.
have a lot of Muslims, a lot of Hindus, a lot of Buddhists, a lot of Catholics, a lot of Christians, a lot of Greek Orthodox, Russian Orthodox. We've got them all here, mate.
It's funny
Jews, we've got a big Jewish community as well.
the the uh, the Bible study in Australia with Chris Sparks and Tom and I think Chris's brother. Those three kind of headed up, and so out of that Bible study we got like 6 guys, and the main guy is in New Mexico, and so we have that on Wednesday night, like tomorrow night at 5. And so
Yeah.
there's like 6 or 7 of it. It's all men, men get together and talk about stuff. And so it's like so it's like I got the Helio sorcery one, even though Chris leads the Bible study 1 out of 3 times, 1 out of 4 times, and then I got the offshoot of that, and then I got AJ and yours. It's like, boy, I tell you what, it's cool, man.
Yeah, this will be my first week. So, I've been speaking with AJ about it for a while now. So. I'm hard pressed for time. So, I find it really hard to commit to things outside of family commitments and work commitments.
Yeah, you run your own business. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and family life's pretty demanding as well, but it's beautiful and I love it.
That's cool. So I got high hopes for Ray. Ray just has to get rid of his cog dis and his indoctrination, and he'll be ready to rock and roll, man.
Yeah, so Ray copped a bit of a serving from from Kiwi yesterday.
Oh yes, the mute button masturbation king. Yeah, he really likes beating on that mute button. Yeah, in the absence of that mute button, he probably would not have fared well. I mean, not with that crowd; they loved him, but for tat rhetorical wise, he would not have done as well. But if you can mute somebody and cut off half of what they're saying, and then take the cut off bit and make it out of context.
I don't know.
Or
I
if you-
disagree with him, man. Have you ever seen any of his early day debates?
I don't give a crap about what he's done or what he was, his history or what great accomplishments he might have had. And there's no doubt that he's very, very
Smart
smart. He's gifted intellectually. He's gifted verbally for sure. And then
Yeah.
it's just deposited into a very tormented soul. But yeah, basically, if
You got to look at it from his point of view as well. Yeah, he's been in it for a very long time, and the abuse that came at the start of this whole thing was not even a patch on the abuse that he gives out. I wouldn't even call it abuse, but it's kind of fun in games. But the amount of abuse that flat earthers receive is disgusting. So that's where it comes from, anyway. You gotta realize these things. That we're ridiculed, and not even weird religions get ridiculed as much as flat earthers do. So
yeah, well, there's something to be said for, a person's past and where they're coming from. But if you give me the definition of a word and you're just flat fucking wrong, and I tell you you're wrong, and I prove that you're face to you're wrong, and I post the dictionary definition that you're wrong, you're acting in good faith if you're deleting the dictionary post that I'm posting and muting me. You're just a tiny prick.
what was the
I don't
word?
give a fuck. He goes, tell me, Ray, do you know what ISO means? And I go, yes. He goes, what does it mean? I go, equal. It means equal. And I forget what he said the definition was. It was just wrong. And then, of course, he mutes me and then berates me for 10 minutes for not knowing what ISO means. So then I post the dictionary definition, pointing a red arrow at the word equal. And, then he, deletes that. I posted it 3 or 4 more times. He deletes those. Eventually he lets one stay, but he wouldn't acknowledge it. So it's just bad faith. And that's the problem. It doesn't make any difference what your history is or where you think you want to go or where you've been. With this group, if you want to go anywhere, the only thing that you're going to be able to do is have a good faith debate. If you can't argue in good faith, then your message is going to go nowhere. Once you start acting in bad faith, particularly with I can't fault for someone for using linguistic rhetorical tricks and wordplay to try to get an upper hand in a debate. But when you start to do that, you're no longer arguing in good faith. And that makes you a dishonest character. It makes you a dishonest broker of your message. Because what that says is, I have a message and I'm willing to cheat to get that message out and beat contrarian voices down. And there is no way in hell humanity is ever going to look at that with any degree of authenticity whatsoever. And people stay away from that shit. They just do. It's like poison. And, again, in the absence of his mute button masturbation, that conversation would not have gone that way.
Well,
And-
people also like to stay away from sophistry as well.
But the sophistry is still a bad faith argument. So if you're going to
Yeah.
accuse me of
It's a
sophistry,
Glober
then go.
argument. I didn't accuse you of it, did I?
No, I'm not sitting here defending the globe because I think it's a clever trick or a stunt
I'm
or
not
a
talking.
scam or
I'm
a
not
grift.
talking about you. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the side, the anti-flat Earth.
Well, I can't
Side,
speak for those
yeah.
people. I can't speak for those people, but that's the idea is if the idea that you're trying to communicate to mankind about a great truth that you're truly convicted in, and you're going to do that in a bombastically disingenuous, lying, abusive manner, it's just antithetical to your goal. You're never going to get there like that. I don't care how burnt you were in your past life.
Do you know what his goal is, though?
Well, yeah, his goal was very clearly a primate dominance display. It's very classic among almost all primates. So you've seen like that.
How can you say what someone's goal is without even asking them?
I'm just looking at the behavior. So I've majored in psychology in
you
college.
weren't looking at the behavior. You were talking about he's not doing it right because he's not achieving his goals because he's not doing something.
You're
So you have
conflating.
to know his goals to actually make that comment.
I mean, I'm not talking about his goals. I'm talking about your community's goals. I think I phrased it that way too. I'm not sure what his goals are. It's not that I'm trying to read his mind or anything. I'm saying primate dominance displays have very telltale signs, and he just was showing them all. It was very. I mean, I see it in corporate America. I've been in corporate America since 1997. I see it all the time. The equivalent of like a dog pissing on a fire hydrant. It's just territorial marking. It's all
I see it all the
classic
time.
behavior.
I work in the big construction industry and run a business. I see it all the time.
Yeah, so it was cheap. It was, the thing is that I still couldn't help but sit.
But he did make a point that you didn't have the answers for it, though.
Which point was that?
Well, if I recall, I wasn't really, because I was at work, I wasn't listening too clearly, but there was a big talk about refraction, and they named 5 different refractions, and
yes. So I guess the problem so there's a certain kind of nuance in that debate tactic. It's a kind of a false dichotomy, if you will. So what you're going to do is you're going to say,
well, it's not really, because you're arguing for a refraction that you don't know exists.
That's exactly right, except for he was attempting to pretend in the world of refraction there were only 5 different effects, and they're all
scientifically studied.
He was saying in the world, the universe of all refraction, there were just these 5 effects. I'm sorry, but none of those effects are used to manufacture the glasses that I'm wearing right now. And guess how they work? Refraction.
Yeah,
so is it possible?
Refraction.
That's all I'm saying is it possible in the realm of our imaginations that there's more than just 5 effects of refraction? And
then you need to come up with the refraction that makes the horizon come closer, goes further away from you.
Well,
it should be at 1.22 miles. Then that should be your goal to come up with an argument. If you choose to do so, I'm not telling you what.
I don't think you really get what QE was putting down, though, because you're talking about the law of refraction. When you bring up glasses, you're talking about the law of refraction, Snell's law, 2 different mediums, right? He was granting you your terrestrial globe refraction and going through which one of those, and there would be 5 types of those.
Yeah, but even then, even if I granted you those 5 atmospheric effects, it was the effects on visual objects in relation to what? In relation to what? All 5 of those were in relation to what?
The thing that you're saying is refracted, which is the problem.
No, that's not what they were.
Yeah, in relation to the horizon. The
horizon. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly what I just said. And you said no.
They're in relation to the horizon, right? And so when I was talking about it, I was talking about the effects on the horizon, not in relation to the horizon.
So which type of refraction is that?
I don't know. I'm not a refraction expert. That was just the place he wanted to go.
Find us the guy who knows them, because you're not the one with the proof that the horizon is geometric and refracted.
I didn't say that I was.
Well, we're looking for that guy.
Well, yeah, then playing cheap tactics and rhetorical games, you're probably not going to find anyone willing to even engage in
why not? If it's a fact that the horizon is geometric and refracted, there must be some known documented effect that somebody can come in here, some expert can come in here and speak to.
And who's going to what self-respecting person's going to subject themselves to the childish bullshit that I did? I happen to have infinite patience, but it's not going to happen.
Okay.
The outreach ain't going to happen.
So you're not a self-respecting person?
No, I have a lot more patience than most people, and I'm not a scientist.
You're not the one we're looking for, because we need somebody who has geometric proof that the horizon is actually in that picture at 1.2 miles, but affected by some type of refraction to appear at 10 or further.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe you'll never find that person because perhaps that's not real and it's all bullshit. I don't know.
Yeah, seems like it, but the search continues.
All right. Well, I'm going to listen in, guys. Well, anyway, that was the only piece I had to say about what was going on last night. Again, perhaps one of the smartest people I've ever talked to, and certainly perhaps the most gifted orator that I've ever listened to. Just not sure the tactics were healthy for the group in general, depending on what the group wants to do with itself. I mean, if you're looking to just be an echo chamber, that's fine. And that'll be great.
Yeah. Well, if that's our goal, we're not doing a very good job because you're here.
Well, we're looking.
I'm here on behalf of a friend. I'll put it that way.
We're looking for truth. That's all we're looking for. And when people come in and argue a refraction that they don't know exists, then that's not really looking for truth, is it?
Yeah. Well, I'm certainly not the one that's going to be able to argue too much about refraction. That's not. I would put it this way. I've been in this debate with a really good friend who's also, I would consider him a genius. He listens to your group all the time. He would never, it's not his place to come in and be a part of the community itself, but he listens to you guys religiously. And so I've been having this debate with him for about 2 years, I would say, at least, or 2.5 years.
That's interesting.
Out of all of the topics within this subject matter domain, the close ground effects and refraction is the worst one to try to talk about because it is such a boiling, murky, seething pit of nebulous bullshit. There are so many other areas that you could get into, things about geometry, timing, distances and things like that are sometimes just simple Euclidean geometry.
Hey, Ray. Geometry is a good one, yeah?
Let me ask.
Geometry is a good one. There you go, dude.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, man.
Somebody, yeah.
All right, cool.
No.
Listen, Ray, man, when I first came in, I heard you talking about a pilot who was doing some videos out the cockpit window.
Yeah, that's what my project that I'm working on right now. I posted a screenshot up above.
Are you familiar with a guy named Taboo Conspiracy? His name's Ben.
Yeah, that's the video I'm debunking.
Is that the same thing?
Yeah, that's the video I'm debunking. Yeah.
Oh, okay, great.
Trying to debunk. Not debunking it. You're trying to.
I already have one debunk out there, but it has a few errors in it as far as the locations, and I didn't like it. I think I may have actually shared it in the group.
Do you know the pilot that took the video?
No, why would I know?
You just follow him on YouTube or whatever, right?
No, I saw my friend sent me Ben's video, and I watched it, and then I dug into the original video.
Okay.
I figured out. Well, he kind of gives you all the information that you need to actually find the flight in the flight tracker, so you can pull that up, and there's enough information. Both visually from the pilot's original video and what's available through flight tracking to figure out pretty close like what his flight path was.
It's southwest. Yeah.
Yeah, basically southwest. I would agree with that. And but more importantly, like you can the night sky, the stars are the stars, right? So they're just fixed in the sky. So all you really have to do is map what he filmed out of it. I don't think he would have had to have filmed it out of his cockpit. So he's not like.
How do you explain them not rising when you're going over a curve, though?
When I analyzed the geometry of the night sky, it did rise. That was very plainly obvious. It did rise. I mean, I know there's a visual perception.
Okay, so what's the degree difference on the flight, on the timing of the flight?
It's I don't know the exact ending of the flight. I just know it's off the coast of Africa somewhere over the Atlantic Ocean, and it's about a 6-hour. But I would say, if I had to punt, somewhere between 35 degrees and say 45 degrees was the pitch change in the aircraft, I would say. So the celestial
so those
south,
stars only heading west. When you're going south, shouldn't they raise up by 45 degrees?
Yeah, the celestial south pole does. The stars off to the right. The stars off to the right side of the field of view. Those are obviously rotating as the Earth rotates around the night sky. So the Earth would be rotating, in the opposite direction that the aircraft was flying. So he actually almost keeps up with that rotation, but not quite.
But they're not flying towards the South Pole.
Yeah, they are. Well, it's southwest. That's what you just said, right?
Southwest. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're flying definitely. They're definitely not flying away from it or perpendicular to it. They're definitely getting closer
but not straight to it.
No, not straight to it. So no. So the celestial
left-hand side. Yeah.
Yeah. So the celestial south pole actually ends up in the camera's field of view by the end of that flight. If you map the night sky onto what's in the field of view of that video, the celestial south pole actually appears above the lower. It's in basically the lower left-hand corner of the frame.
It'd be interesting to see your video when you finished. Like, bring it back in, and be interesting to look at.
Yeah, the way I'm doing it now is. It's like super complicated. I don't know why I'm doing it, but I had to teach myself a bunch of new stuff with.
Teach yourself some computer software, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I did. I don't know if it's still in my clipboard. Yeah, it's still in my clipboard, so I'll just paste it in the chat if you want to see what the editing looks like right now. So I'm in 3D software or in video editing software using 3D stuff. What I'm trying to do is fix the virtual camera onto that video that he filmed. So I want the video to stay still against the virtual camera. And I've already added the Earth's rotation. So the Earth rotates about 90 degrees over 6 hours. So that is already there. Of course, the night sky doesn't necessarily move, but I'm going to move the camera and the video and keep it locked onto the stars. So then you will see both how the video traverses the globe simultaneously while it's locked into the night sky behind it.
Awesome, man.
So
knock yourself out, bro. I think it's great. What is your profession?
See, old friend, I brought more soldiers than you did.